Welcome. I'm Tatiana. The party's already started, so come on in. But we only have one rule here. Please leave by 9.
What if she just really enjoys hitting people in the face?
Not a question. We know that.
But does she feel guilty about it? When you hit
I don't
do you
really.
feel guilty?
More pleasurable, probably 75% pleasurable, maybe 25% guilty.
Do you find more pleasure when you leave a mark on their face, like knuckle?
Yeah,
black
it's like
eye?
it's like branding. Like I just like think of it like I'm leaving my mark and they will never forget me.
Also, wait a minute. Is it more pleasurable to threaten the person to hit them or to actually hit them?
It's pleasurable to threaten them because I want them to be scared. If I just hit them, I would like not leave them guessing.
I will attest. Anna does love a good fear tactic, a good threat. Anna is good. But like while we're on the topic, today's all about this. Today's party is a guilty pleasure party. You know those. Cheryl just cringed.
Do not
so
use
hard.
the word pleasure and party.
Pleasure party.
Right next to each other.
Are you telling me you know
pleasure party?
pleasure? Anna and I are on board here.
Renaissance Pleasure Fair.
No.
That's weird. I got that idea from the Renaissance Pleasure Fair, Cheryl.
That's what the theme is today too.
It's Renaissance Pleasure Fair. You all didn't dress up. Why did you not dress up?
We thought we'd theme the party that way, and it's really turning out weirder.
It turned out a little weirder. None of you were in costume, and Anna and I are the only ones getting ready for the pleasure
we're
party.
the only festive ones here, I guess.
And we also have today, who's going to talk more than just some like sound effects in the background of the party, is Daniel. Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's me.
We're so excited you get a microphone or you get to talk, and you have to sit next to Anna though.
Yeah, I'm going to be yanking that microphone out of her hand.
And we just talked about how she threatens people. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just look forward to that all party.
Daniel, since you're a guest, do you have any that you want to divulge?
Yeah. I feel awful admitting this, but whatever. It's gonna go out there.
That's the whole point.
I'm a fan of professional wrestling. I like wrestling. The wrestling. I like WWE. I've been watching it since I was a kid, and
I have so many questions.
Go
I
ahead.
don't normally have any questions.
I used to have a tadpole named Batista.
Oh, after Dave Batista,
Yes.
Drax the Destroyer. He was
My tadpole never turned into a frog.
Oh. Did you have to flush it down the toilet? Or what happened to it? Did it just
No,
dead
what happened to it? It might have gotten eaten at like a sleepover or something. Not mine, my brother's.
Like a child ate it? Is that what
You know how you like put like goldfish in a thing and then drink it for like when you're okay? Never
Oh,
mind.
God.
No.
Never go to one of Sarah's sleepovers.
I just had a sleepover with her.
Oh, she just ate your tadpole. Even though you had one.
Okay, all right. We'll get back to that later,
I'll
Sarah.
give. Oh wait. You said Batista, right? He had last week was WrestleMania, and he had his last match ever. He retired.
I did not know he was still doing this.
Well, he was
Isn't
doing
he
it.
in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah,
Okay.
but ever since he became a movie star, he's been wrestling off and on. But now he's off. He's completely off. He was retired.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
So you said WrestleMania happened.
Yes.
So WWE and WrestleMania, I thought WrestleMania was a fancy word for the WWE, and you just said it was an event. So
Yeah, it
now I'm
was.
even more confused.
Yeah.
Can you please enlighten me on
Yeah.
what WrestleMania is?
That's funny. It's like
I
there's.
just was like, I love WrestleMania. Like,
You thought WrestleMania
I
and
only
W.
learned this weekend because a guy told me he couldn't go on a date with me because WrestleMania was
Oh
happening.
God! Now that's a real fan.
That's a guilty pleasure.
I was like, Daniel, have you ever canceled plans with Tyler?
Never done that. Ever.
Have you ever told her, like, honey?
No, I've never been like, oh, it's No Way Out this weekend, and it's Undertaker versus King,
Yeah.
Hell in the Cell. I can't miss it, you know. No, that guy's a super fan. He's
I like how Daniel's telling this guy he's a super fan
Yeah.
because I thought you might be up there, but I there's levels to this.
There's
and You're gonna
levels.
explain it.
yes, I will.
Okay.
But no, like WWE and WrestleMania, it's like there's Notorious B.I.G. and Biggie Smalls are the same person. No, WrestleMania is actually the.
Wait. No, I'm kidding. I knew that.
It's actually the biggest event of the year for WWE. It's like the way wrestling works is the weekly shows act as a show, and
Yes.
through each year, all of the wrestling has a storyline behind it. So there's A stories, there's B stories, there's C stories, and sometimes there's D stories. And then think of WrestleMania as like the season finale for all of those stories.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How long is it?
Last week it was 7 hours.
What?
Yeah.
All at once? Wait a minute. I'm so lost. I'm so lost. What do you mean it's 7 hours? Are there like multiple matches? Like, is this all a one show thing? Like on TV, they have like 7 hours of WrestleMania. Like,
Yes.
Now you know why like the date could not be added because it took all day.
Is this like an opera? Like, is this
It
like,
is.
What is this?
It
Like,
really is. There's actually there's a South Park episode that really explained like what wrestling really is, and it's not so much actual like wrestling where like you grapple with people. It's like theater.
an art.
It's art. Yeah. These guys, a lot of people say that it's fake. Okay, the thing about it being fake is that it's scripted. So every match is a work. Everybody knows who's gonna win beforehand. But the actual action that goes inside is real. All these guys are all these guys and gals now. They're athletes, and they work out. And think of them as stuntmen. They're up there and they're doing these little stunts, and sometimes they get really hurt. We've had a bunch of wrestlers that have had broken necks. They've had broken backs, and it sucks being a wrestler. But they do it because they love it. So think of them as stuntmen, and the whole thing as a giant circus. That's what it is.
My question is, they like get belts and stuff.
Yes.
So how do they decide who gets the belt? Do they like play rock paper scissors before the match?
No.
Or is it like whoever like pays them out? I don't know.
It's honestly, even though every wrestling match is predetermined, you would think that those belts don't have any value, but they actually do. And they're given to the wrestlers. Yeah, they're given to the wrestlers who resonate well with the audience, and the ones that they have. A lot of those wrestlers have merch, so they have either masks or shirts. If they sell a lot of merch, then they're gonna put the title on them because they're the most popular
So
wrestler.
that's like The Rock and like John Cena
Yes.
and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like they obviously won their
yeah.
life.
They're big. Back when they were in the WWE, they sold a bunch of merch. And when you look at The Rock and John Cena, they are probably an example of what a really, really good wrestler should be. And it's two things. It's one, you have to be really good in the ring.
Yes.
So you have to make sure everything that you do in there looks good and real, and that you're telling a story. So it's like, again, the acting where you have the facial expressions. We're like, oh, I'm losing. God damn it. Make it look real. And they're really good talkers. When you have, I don't know if you've ever seen videos of wrestlers before they go out and they trash somebody. They're all like, fuck Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's called a promo. So they go out there and they talk and they get the crowd riled up and they improv. Yeah.
So that's kind of also why like the good ones are now actors.
Yes.
Because it's like just a natural transition.
Yeah.
There's a linkage.
After the podcast, I'll show you a video of The Rock. Honestly, like he's been in a lot of movies so far, but the greatest role he ever did was being The Rock in wrestling. There's no. It's like he completely
It was
lived
not
it.
the Tooth Fairy?
Not the Tooth Fairy. I'm sorry. Tooth Fairy's a close second, though.
That's all I remember him
Yeah.
from. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. He actually was nominated for an Oscar for that, if you guys didn't know. No, he wasn't. At all. But yeah, you have to be really good in the ring. You gotta make it all look real, and you gotta have a voice to be able to talk.
That's wow. They
And
like
then
and then they graduate and they go into like the big world. And now The Rock, I don't know if he still is, but he's the highest paid actor.
yeah,
So like there you go.
he basically owns the world right now.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
I feel like you also need to be muscular, attractive, and bald.
Yeah.
Bold, Sarah. That's
Well,
it.
Here's okay.
Okay.
When it comes to being successful or having back in say like the the 80s, the 90s, and the early
How-
2000s.
Question.
Yes.
How long? When did it start? Like,
It-
where's the WWE start line?
The WWE,
How long? How are we talking?
it's
here?
been around, I want to say, since like the 1940s.
Whoa.
Back then, it was called the WWE, Worldwide Wrestling.
Wait, I realize I know the origin.
What? Go for it.
The origin.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a really popular John Oliver video that just came
Yeah,
out,
he's
and he
been-
explained
he's been
it,
doing- yeah.
where they used to be all. It's almost like the football or baseball where they had different leagues all over the U.S.
Yeah.
and then in a certain year, but that's the year. I don't know what year that was.
Yeah.
But it was somewhat recent, but that's when they took all of the little baby conglomerate thing and
Yeah.
made a big one, and then that was WWE.
Yeah.
But they wanted WWF. They couldn't have it because
Because-
that was the World Wildlife
Yeah.
Federation thing, foundation, and so and so that's why they're WWE
Yeah.
instead. But so it was a bunch of little ones on little Channel 7, like whatever your news
Yeah.
channel was. It
There was like
always on there.
NWA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all had different acronyms and different things, and then they took them all. And then the one guy,
Vince McMahon.
was it him or was it his?
Well, his dad
it was his dad,
His dad
right?
started the company,
Yeah.
Vince McMahon Sr., and then
Yes.
Vince McMahon Jr.
is the one who made them all
Yeah.
one thing.
And Vince McMahon is a character.
Yes, that is what I've learned.
He's insane. He is an insane 70-year-old man.
He's 70 years old.
Yeah, he's like 70 something. Vince McMahon Sr. was the guy that started the WWE. He was okay with the territory system,
Yes.
but then his son was a motherfucker
Yes.
and bought everybody up.
Yes, he did.
And so he's just known for being a real killer in the wrestling
I heard
business.
he's like the villain, like the
Yeah.
overall arching villain, and he's and he made himself that way. Nobody asked him to,
Yeah.
and no one came up and proposed the idea.
Yeah.
But when they have fight, so okay, you can explain this. So when you have a little show, and then you have the two people fighting each other, where does Vince McMahon come into play? Because he does come in a lot.
Yeah.
What does that look like, or how does that go?
Well, when Vince McMahon first, obviously when his father died, he took control of the company, and then he consolidated all the territories, and he made the WWE, or the WWF back then. And in the early days, he started off as a referee, and then he started out as a announcer, commentating. He was a color commentator. And then in the late 90s, he screwed a wrestler over very publicly and made it seem it wasn't part of the script because the other wrestler was going to jump ship to another company. And so he screwed him over, and the fans at the event noticed. And that's where his evil character came in, because that's where the lines were blurred between real and fake. Yeah, it's called that event was called the Montreal Screwjob. That's when Bret Hart was screwed out of the title by Shawn Michaels. That's basically where the curtains will pull down and people are like, "Oh, this is like real shit going on." Yeah. And so yeah, you guys should look it up. There's been a whole bunch of documentaries about it. Yeah.
Documentaries.
Yeah. I think there's some on Netflix. Montreal Screwjob. Google it.
We'll Google it.
But that's when he was outed as the owner of the company. And after that event, that's when he became evil Mr. McMahon, where he would come out to the ring strutting, and then he'd pull people out from the back and be like, he has this catchphrase, and his catchphrase is, I'm going to mimic it right now. He goes, "You're fired." And then he fires them. And that's when probably the biggest wrestler, I think, to sell stuff of the modern era, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was his nemesis. So Stone Cold Steve Austin was the protagonist, Mr. McMahon was the antagonist, and for a good 5 years they would go at it, because Stone Cold Steve Austin was the everyman guy. He was the tall, bald guy. He didn't give a fuck. He drank beer, and he would stick it to Mr. McMahon, and it'd be like sticking it to the man. So that was the storyline for that era, and that's how he became evil Mr. McMahon, and he's been that ever since. So
Okay, so it seems like you're very knowledgeable on this.
yeah.
And that it brings you a lot of joy. So my question is, why do you feel guilty about this?
I feel like it's a nerdy thing. I don't know. It's people are all like, you like wrestling, really? I'm like, yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it sounds super interesting when you're explaining it.
It is.
This is. I want to know more.
I used to be. My brother was into it, and so that's how I got into it. But then once when I was 15, it started getting real lame. Like the storylines were like boring. I'm like,
You can't
whatever.
play with the dolls anymore.
And I can't do that. No. I wouldn't play with the dolls. I would actually wrestle with like my friends and
Yes.
my cousins.
Suplexes, I know that one.
Yeah. What really got me into wrestling was in the late 90s, WWE went through its Attitude Era. And that's where everything got a little risque. That's where they started hitting each other with chairs, kendo sticks, barbed wire. The tables came in, the ladders came in.
I didn't know it was recent as like the early 90s.
No, yeah.
I thought this was something that just was ingrained in wrestling.
No, no.
Like the chair smack
It's ingrained
and
in your mind because that's
is.
when wrestling really
stuff. Took off.
Or
Or like made it to mainstream kind of.
super mainstream.
Yeah.
Because in the 80s it was mainstream,
Okay.
and then in the 90s it dipped, but in the 2000s it just
Went spiked right back up.
Spiked
I
right
think
back
you're
up.
right because that's the arrival of like people I actually know the names
Like The
of.
Rock.
Like The Rock.
Yeah.
Or like so who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? And you can have more than one because obviously you've
I
watched
have
for that
I have
many.
two favorites.
Okay, who are your two favorites?
I like The Rock.
Yeah. Oh,
The Rock
love
is
it.
he's just again I'll show you guys a video. You can't
Mhm.
help but like be enthralled by his character.
I'm always enthralled by The Rock. He's great. He's my dad.
He's my dad too.
No, he's my dad.
Yeah, no, he's my
Oh
dad.
wait, we're related. So
Oh yeah, we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Farias Power.
Yeah, woo!
Woo! And another wrestler I really like his name is Mick Foley.
Oh wait, I've heard of him.
You've heard of Mick Foley?
Yeah.
He's
What is-
he was known for having a lot of gimmicks. When you're a wrestler, it's good to have like a gimmick, a thing that you have. The Rock's thing was like, oh, he's this really cocky guy, and he
Yeah.
refers to himself as The Rock, third person, like
Yeah, that guy.
I'm The Rock. Mick Foley had a bunch of gimmicks. Like when he first started out, he was Cactus Jack, and then he
Cactus
was Dude Love,
Jack.
and then he was Mankind. Mankind, he had like a leather mask, and he would
Mhm.
like hurt himself and be like, because he was just like this demented
Yeah.
guy. But then he ended up turning into this really lovable dude, like this loser that you want to see win.
Ah.
He basically became who he was, Mick Foley.
Yeah.
And I remember back then when I was little, I saw him because when it comes to WWE champions,
Mhm.
you're supposed to look like The Rock. You're supposed to look like John
Ah.
Cena.
Yes.
You're supposed to look like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
Big guys.
Big guys. Muscular
Over
guys.
6'3".
Yeah. Mick Foley's like 5'10".
Oh.
He's like he's like 200 pounds.
Yeah.
He's this really pudgy guy, and
Oh my gosh.
he actually ended up winning the WWE Championship because he had the entire audience behind him.
No
They
way.
just loved him and his character.
That's amazing.
And so they just decided, Vince McMahon was like, hey, we're going to put the title on you and you're going to carry the company on your back. And he did.
Oh my god.
And so he's one of my favorites.
Yes.
And the reason why is because like he was he's known as being the underdog.
Yeah.
And he's just insane.
That's awesome.
He would do these things where he had his, do you guys know who The Undertaker is?
Yes.
Yeah.
You told me I look like the Undertaker.
Well, you
once.
dressed up as him last Halloween. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I did. I
You
dressed
should just
up
say
as
that
him.
that you were the
I
Undertaker
did.
last
And
Halloween.
ever since then, I've just been like, yeah, I know who the Undertaker is now.
And then you tombstone people.
Yeah.
I'll show you the tombstone.
Please. Thank you.
But he had this match with The Undertaker. It was a Hell in a Cell match. And so they were fighting. It was like the ring's here, and then the ring is covered by this giant cage that's probably as tall as this apartment building.
Okay, 2 stories.
Yes. And he climbed. Both of them climbed to the top of the cage.
Yes.
And then The Undertaker just threw him off. And that made Mick Foley's career. Because he was broken afterwards.
Holy shit.
And then the audience was like, holy shit, everybody. It was just a great moment.
Yeah.
And he was just known for doing that.
Oh.
These sort of daredevil things. You would see this really pudgy guy just flying through the air, throwing himself into tables and
Yes.
stuff. And there's like no way you can get behind that.
That's
Can't
amazing.
get behind that.
Yeah. Well, see, there's another thing, because, like, we're at the pleasure party. I want to say it again so Cheryl will.
Here, I feel like I've been
No,
holding
no, no.
this too much.
This is
I need to
So-
understand this.
No,
guilty
this was
pleasure.
I want to even talk more, but like here's my thought on this is that like this is your guilty pleasure, but here's the thing, that arena was full of people that also do like so like it's one of
Yeah.
those like a well-known I guess guilty pleasure that those other people might not tell people that they work with that they like that, but like they and their families like they all go, it's like a whole thing, which is crazy how it could be like someone's guilty pleasure but like 500,000 million people also have the
Yeah,
same one.
so just know
I
you're
think that's
never
great.
alone.
You're never alone.
You're never
Danielle.
alone. Everyone has guilty pleasures.
And now I think I'm just gonna keep looking up clips online. So
yeah.
now I might be with you on this.
I'll send you some. I have a bunch.
Please send me some. Thank you.
I think now that I'm older and I'm able to better understand like my love of wrestling, it's like a mixture of everything that I like. It's when you boil down the storylines, it's always a story between like good and evil.
Yes,
all
you're
of
right.
all of those wrestlers are like superheroes, especially like the good guys.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're gonna beat you and shit. And I like it's like the fights are choreographed and they look good. And so if you
Yeah.
have really good wrestlers in the ring, everything looks really pretty. And sometimes you just sit back and you're like, oh shit, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And then for a lot of those wrestlers that are really good talkers, like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, it's also a lesson in commanding an audience's attention. Because you have 20,000 people in that room,
Holy shit.
in that whole stadium. There were times where like The Rock would come out, his music would hit, his music would start like, if you smell, and then the entire arena would just erupt with
way.
noise. They just would go crazy over him. And then he would hit the ring, he would start talking, and then people would chant his catchphrases with him.
Oh my
and they
God.
knew every single one.
Oh
and
my
he had him in
God.
the palm of his hand. And for me, I think that's where like the whole performance
Yeah.
aspect comes into it.
Yeah.
And that's where it helps me as a performer when
Yeah.
it comes to stand-up.
Yeah.
Having people's attention, having
Yeah.
the confidence to go out there. Because if you can get 20,000 people to go crazy over you and recite what you're saying, I don't know about you, but that's like power.
Oh yeah.
That's
no
feels
yeah.
like true
Oh,
power.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I know what you're saying. Because I think that's also a thing about guilty pleasures is that a lot of the times we like something that we wish we had or like do or have, but we can't and then we obviously because of reasons and things and stuff. But like I always feel like that's part of why we like things. So, like you know what I mean? So what are you laughing about? What do you mean? I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Cheryl is over here
wanna
just
hear it.
giggling to herself, like she doesn't know what we're talking about. You're not perfect.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm definitely perfect. But actually, you answered all of my questions. I just I really wanted to know like how you got into it, like stories about like how people start, but like you pretty much went in depth about that, so that was good. I'm always like curious about how like people.
It's always in the family. It's always in the family. So I feel like a lot of guilty pleasures start like in the family, and they're either like shown to you by someone, but that's not their guilty pleasure, or it might be a whole thing. It might be a whole family thing. Who knows?
Do you have your family's guilty pleasures?
No, they're weird. I don't.
Yeah, I don't have my family.
Yeah, I don't have my families, but like I was. but if your whole family likes Wrestlemania, then the whole family likes Wrestlemania. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like their thing. Wait, why are you acting like this isn't a thing? Daniel, help me out here.
Well, before we started, you said that you didn't have any guilty pleasures.
No, I do. Just not.
She just doesn't feel the sense of
Well,
guilt.
also you
which
just
is-
said that people have the same guilty pleasures as their family, and then all of us just said we don't have the same guilty.
I mean,
I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying some people. It's like
So
how you get
here's-
introduced. Like
Here's
it's
what
like-
I feel like. Mine is modeled from characteristics of my parents.
yeah.
maybe.
See, it's like
But
in a
I
thing.
wouldn't say I would say like my parents at my age or at some point in their life had guilty pleasure that was similar to mine or whatever. But and maybe not just your family, but like you can see it through I don't know, if like a friend or a relative or someone else that's maybe a little more distant, but you will like, be able to justify that like that honestly makes you feel better.
I think
seeing
I'm
it.
hoping for examples. So give me an example.
Oh.
I think I got an example. I would say if your parents, my parents are Mexican immigrants, and they grew up listening to ranchera music. So I could say that some ranchera music is a guilty pleasure.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
See, I have one. So if we're talking, my quick one right here. If we're talking about things, I like how you said your parents kind of justify your
Yeah.
guilty. So mine is that when I was young, and I still do this, but like my guilty pleasure is I like to take things from hotel rooms.
Oh my god.
My mother loves
I
that.
get a thrill, and it's
Oh my
because my father takes, but my dad, and like I'm gonna narrow it to hotel rooms for legal reasons, but like it really, like It really is like kind of anything you like that you think no one else will notice or you think it doesn't. Like my dad will take, and then like I would do it, and then he kind of would do it too, and so then it's like it doesn't.
I don't think
it's
that's a guilty
familial.
pleasure. I
It's
think you guys
even-
are just criminals.
No,
I think
no,
crime is your guilty pleasure.
No, crime is not. No.
Kleptomania might be hereditary.
This is where it's familial.
My favorite thing is we took like, and it's always, and we justify it by like the hotel did something to us, and so we were like, our scrambled eggs this morning were cold. We're gonna take the lamp. Like,
I thought you guys took bars
have
of
you,
soap
have
and
you
the
taken a lamp,
small
Tatiana?
shampoo.
Please tell me now.
She takes a fucking lamp.
I'm thinking like
You
Ross
take
from
the
Friends who
pens
takes
or
the light bulb
something.
or
But
something.
also that you said nobody would notice. That's pretty
okay,
noticeable.
fine. There is some things that are noticeable, and then, but like the thing is like my dad was like, they're just gonna find it, charge it to the card, and then we'll still feel as if we took it though. Like it's
I
still
feel
like
like
we
that's
feel
not
like we did it.
if you still get charged for it, that's not like pleasurable to me.
Oh, it's pleasurable for us.
Aren't those lamps bolted down?
Well, when you go to like the CD motel, like when you go to like you know, like because for me it all started like when I was playing competitive like sports. We would go to so many different hotels, motels, Holiday Inns around like the Northern California area, and not all of them are that great. And not all of them are great. So like
Bad.
it was one of those things where it was like, oh, you know, our shower or our toilet doesn't even have like a lid or anything in it, and the water's black. We're gonna take, you know, like all of your pillows. We're gonna take all of these pillows right now, and then we would take them all, which is obviously noticeable when the maid comes in and like all the pillows are missing. But like then we just get charged, and then we're like, but we still have them. In fact, my favorite pillow in my room.
I was just about to ask if one of those is a hotel pillow.
Yes, my favorite pillow right now in my room is from a Hilton Garden and Suites.
I just want for all of you guys who are listening, if you guys work at a Red Robin and Tatiana rolls into that Red Robin, I'd say you better watch the fuck out.
Okay,
so.
yeah, that's also, if we open the cabinet, I've got 2 jars of Red Robin seasoning up there. And then here, I think this is also a time, so my guilty pleasure is I like taking things. I get it now. And can we please segue into the story where I wasn't the only one who took something? I know we brought it up in the very first party episode where Anna brought out her snacks and we used umami spoons.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Cheryl, would you like to explain how we felt? You, Colin,
This
and I, how we
fucking
felt.
story is the craziest thing I think I've ever. It's no, but the
It's
the
not
sequence
crazy
of it,
what you did.
how you
It's
guys did
how
it,
you collectively did it.
collective. Okay, so we
Better
all
tell it in the right order because it matters. No,
I-
I like when Cheryl tells it because she
Jesus
feels so much shame.
I do. Okay,
Guilty
so
for our pleasure.
yes. So we all went out to Umami. We drove out to
Maybe
Umami
you shouldn't
Burger.
say the restaurant because they might know who we are.
Blur
Drove
that
to
out,
a
blur that
restaurant
out.
with nice
We
spoons.
drove out to a restaurant
And
specifically
really
for these
good
nice
ketchup.
for these
Not for the nice
for these
foods.
nice food.
No,
No, for
not
the
for
food.
spoon. Oh yes,
For the food.
for the food.
For the food. The food was really good, right? Yeah, so we drove out, we like made a trip of it. And it was Tatiana, Sarah, it was the ghost of Ben and Austin, and Anna, Colin, and me. Yes. Right, so Anna, Colin, and me don't live in their apartment. The other 4 are roommates. We're all roommates here. So we go, we eat, we get like a dessert, and the dessert comes with spoons.
One person gets a dessert and they bring spoons for all of us, and
For
he's like,
everyone.
"I'm not sharing." So,
Oh yeah, that's
but we just had all these spoons. Yeah.
yes. So there were a lot of spoons at the table, and these spoons are kind of special. They have like
They are the perfect ice cream spoon. They're aptly
they're really
reinforced.
strong. They're
Very.
yes, it's very true. They're nice.
No
spoons.
bending there.
I'll admit it. And you guys already had a spoon from this restaurant.
We've dabbled. Yeah, we had 3.
Okay. But those were from like separate trips though, right? Like you guys had gone separately to that restaurant. We're not animals. Yes. Yeah.
I actually think it started with Tatiana and her dad stealing the spoons from the restaurant.
You just said me and my dad, and I was like, holy fuck, because like and then my sister did it too, because that's why there were 3. It was me,
Your
my dad, and my
family.
sister. We all took a spoon,
God.
and then I just remembered another time where we
Okay.
felt like we had bad service, and then we
All
took
right, so we were we talked about how the spoon was, and oh my my God. Okay. Oh my God, I'm going to start crying. So then we walk out of the restaurant. Okay. And I don't know what Austin said. He said something that like pissed Tatiana off. And Tatiana was like, wow, now I regret getting you this spoon. And she grabs a spoon from her pocket. And he's like, I don't care. I already got a spoon. And he's wearing like a kangaroo overall.
Yeah.
And he pulls it out of the kangaroo pocket. And he's like, I already got a spoon. And then Ben turns around.
The Sarah was first.
I thought, are you
No.
sure?
Ben had the
Oh.
lag.
My God. Yeah, wait, okay, I don't
Oh,
remember
so
the-
then I pulled out my spoon and I was like, oh, I also got a spoon. And then Cheryl cries a little bit and is very embarrassed. Like, we're not like it's still in sight. The
Anna,
restaurant is
Colin,
still
and I
in
are
sight.
like, what
and then
the heck?
like processing happens. And then Ben turns around and goes, what are we talking about? I got a spoon too. And then Cheryl just
I think I fell. I think I fell on the ground. I don't even.
She just hit the ground.
Like Anna, Colin, and we were all like, I mean, we thought about taking a spoon, but like you did it. Like you, all four of them did it.
and that's why we're roommates.
And it's so funny because the 4 people who took a spoon, like, we all did it without knowing the other person had taken the spoon.
Nobody
Like,
saw
literally,
anybody else take
Nobody.
the spoon.
Like, if I saw Sarah doing
I was
it, I
gonna
probably
wrap it up and
wouldn't.
give it to Austin for Christmas.
I
'cause
was gonna
didn't
do
want to
that!
buy him a Christmas
See, we were
present.
all going to give it to our one roommate for Christmas, and then he pissed me off, and so I was like, well, I'm going to keep this then. But, like, the best part is that we all took the spoons, and the 3 people who didn't live with us, who didn't, like, no, they didn't take a spoon. Like, it wasn't it wasn't in their minds, but in ours, we were like, we're here, this is what you have to do. Like, this is just what happens.
But
I
like,
think the 3 of us like stopped and we're just like watching you guys wave your spoons around. We were like, what happened? How did this happen?
But like going back to the family thing, I feel like mine is the opposite, and my guilty pleasures like became guilty because my family originally made me feel guilty for things like that.
Oh,
Like
do tell.
Do tell.
Anna might, but so 2 of them are songs. One of them is My House by Flo Rida is my pump up song. I fucking love that song. But I will never play it if I have the aux cord. But if I walk into a party and that song is playing, I'm bumping. It's a
So
bop.
many words just came out of your mouth that I was never expecting you to say.
Not expecting. And it's so funny because and this was like when? Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
It came out while we were in college.
Freshman year. It was like our freshman year. So I am like getting to know Sarah, and then she comes out with this, and I was like, yes. Like I was like, this is a dimension. We're
And
a
then-
whole new level
And
now.
then the other song thing is like, I guess I was a fan of One Direction, but I wasn't like a super fan. But I'm a big fan of all of their single songs except for Harry Styles, but most specifically Liam Payne. Fucking love Liam Payne.
I love when Sarah just like, because Sarah has like this good taste. Like her music taste is so good that like even the ghost of Austin and Ben always they're who's playing music, and it's always Sarah. And so when she was like, I really like Liam Payne singles, I was like, Sarah.
They're so good.
I was like, Sarah, you mustn't tell anybody. Like, I don't even know what I do with this information.
It breaks my street cred if I say that I like.
She's the DJ, and that's the scary part, is that like underneath all of that, there is a Liam Payne single waiting to be played.
And small shout out to Small Hands.
Oh yeah, Slow Hands, the song
Small
by
shout
Neil
out.
Horan is still our jam, but that we are very vocal about.
Small hands.
Cheryl, what about you? You gotta, I love all your isms, Cheryl, so lay it on us.
Now that we've already exposed all of them.
I know. Like, I mean, you all know Kissing Booth is my guilty pleasure.
Comes back to Kissing
Kissing
Booth.
booth.
I don't know
It's a
why.
major.
I know it's terrible. I'm a storyteller. I analyze stories.
She
For-
analyzes
That's the
them.
thing. It's like Sarah and the DJ. It's like you are our movie person, you're our writer, and the fact that you like the Kissing Booth is just I can't comprehend it.
It's also so sad because I am a feminist. And that movie he's abusive. Like flat out. Just like I should never root for that relationship. But I love it. I love the way that it's filmed. Like I love her, Joey King. I don't know why, just who she like all of her little isms, the way that she speaks, like all of the little things. Like there's a part in that movie where she's they're trying to, and I relate to this on a deep and personal level. But they're trying to figure out which carnival thing to do. And the guy is like, oh, let's do a dunking booth or a dunk booth or whatever. And dunk tank. And she's like, oh, no, the swim team already picked that. And then he's like angry. He's like, oh, like, man. And she like does this weird little chuckle thing. And she's like, I know, dude, who saw that one coming? Like, totally sarcastic. I love the way she says it. But it's like the swim team obviously
and
picked
you know
the dunk tank.
how many times Cheryl's watched this movie because she can point out her specific facial features in specific little parts of this movie.
Also, we share a Netflix account. So when Sarah and I are like, oh, let's see what's on Netflix. And then we see recently played Kissing Booth, we're like, oh no, Cheryl. You're like, Cheryl relapsed. She watched it again, and we'll know it happened.
You know what else though? Okay, the other thing about me watching this movie is I never watch till the end. I never watch.
She already knows the
movie.
ending.
I hate the ending.
Oh.
I think it's the worst part of that movie. Because I'm entirely there for Joey King and what's his Jacob's relationship, for their chemistry. Like, that's the only reason I'm there for, is just like them and their little shenanigans. Yeah, but you can tell in the movie that they really like each other. Yeah. Because we just watched a movie with Joey King and she did not have that chemistry with those people. I mean, I love her. She's obviously great. It could have been the guy's fault in the movie, but like, there's just something about her and Jacob that is just, the chemistry is there, and that's what I like about it, because it just reminds me of like when Colin and I were like in high school, and like we just, you know, you just want to be together. Young love. It's young love. But it's not their related. It is not. It is not them two together like Noah and her. It is Joey King and Jacob that I really like. But at the end of it, I just don't like. I don't like the way that the friend was set up. Like, her friend in that movie, he's a great actor. Like, he was a child, like, he's a good, but they do not use him and they do not play up his character. And I feel like if they had given his character more reasons, like more motives, it would have been a better movie, like, all around, but they don't. And then at the end, it's entirely him being upset. So I don't like watching that, because I'm just like, I don't get why he's upset. Like, I don't understand. They don't set it up. So I don't watch the end. So my favorite, or one of my favorite parts, is like the climax part, where he's like and I don't know why, I just thought this was like a really smart thing to do, considering their relationship in the movie, where she like falls, and then the brother is like, did you hit her? And he's like, you really think I would hit her? But he has like an anger management problem, so like, obviously, like, he would think that. And he doesn't know that they have a relationship and that she's made him promise not to fight anymore. But like, I really like that as a climax. And then after that, like, after he's like, are you serious? Like, you'd really think that I'd hit her? That's when I turn it off. I'm like, that's the end of it. The rest of it is terrible. They're like, I hate the end when they're like in the car and she like doesn't know that it's him. And I'm like, this is dumb. So yeah, that's my guilty pleasure.
And I think that, like, sometimes we need other people to tell us our guilty pleasures.
But you know what? Okay, so we were talking about justifiable things, right? And I think a lot of, when we were talking about this week, guilty pleasures, a lot of us were like, I don't think I have, like, I can't really think of any, because the four of us together do our guilty pleasures together. And so then we get that group think, we're like, no, watching The Bachelor and going to Jesse McCartney concerts is totally normal and fine. And I don't feel bad about it at all.
I had to, it was like, so I've been eating meat for a long time, and one of mine was like, you know, like, a guilty pleasure would be, what meat would I go back to? Like, if ever I broke this, what would it be? Does anybody have any guesses?
A hot dog.
A Costco hot dog! It's a Costco hot dog! Anna is so Anna knew that immediately. It's because she read my notes.
Yeah,
No, what difference between Sarah and I with food is that she likes hot dogs and I
it's because you were going to name your firstborn child Costco hot dog. And the fact, and that was the biggest thing for me, is when you came out as vegetarian, I was like, she can't eat Costco. We would literally go to Costco so she could get a Costco hot dog.
Yeah.
And so that really, like, I was like, wow, you know, okay. I mean, this must be serious if she's going to take that life change.
Now, there's different Costco hot dogs, right? There's like the regular one and the Polish sausage one. Which one's your favorite?
The regular one with a shit ton of yellow mustard.
Shit ton.
Occasionally a dab of Dijon, but a shit ton of yellow mustard.
Just a little bit.
But yeah, oh, that is so. I'm rooting for you and Costco hot dog. I'm rooting.
If I get drunk enough one day, Costco's not open, but if I get drunk enough, I might eat a Costco hot dog. Probably not, but
I'm ready for you to eat a Costco hot dog. But also, in a future podcast, not now because we don't have enough time, I think we do need to go over when Sarah came out as a vegetarian. Because that was, yes. Oh, she was outed.
We exposed her.
We outed her. But that was a story, and I will always remember it in my life.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that later. But what about Anna?
So I thought of two just in this moment, but one's very related to just because we were talking about food, and I love sauces like a lot. Everyone knows that of me, but my guilty pleasure, which like I don't like people seeing me do this, is I'll eat sauce like on its own. But like
I do that sometimes. Like or
okay.
like if I'm making a sandwich and
God.
I like
I feel like this is confession.
I, like, spread some mustard, I will 100% lick that mustard
oh my
off
God,
that knife.
me too. I just like I don't get it, but like, and if it's like the rest of like the like
Or like if
sauce left,
I
I'll
ran
eat it.
out of what I was dipping, but I'm
Yeah.
still in the mood for the sauce, I'll just
Oh
keep
my God,
going.
I'll
with
just
my
keep
finger.
going, yeah. And like hummus, we
That's
can.
a really
I know
good
Sarah and
one.
I could probably share this. Is eat it by the spoonful, like it's a dip. Like if you need to, like if it's really good, take a spoonful of it. You know? Yeah.
Actually, yeah. There's a peanut spicy like Thai peanut sauce that I will just
yeah, and it's
the whole
like,
time, and it's
I
at a
feel like-
restaurant too, and I feel really
like I don't say, yeah, exactly. Like when I'm at a restaurant, I keep eating the sauce, and I'm like, oh God, are people watching? But then like, and then it gets in my face, and then that's embarrassing.
I'm just imagining you sauce fiends just indulging in your sauces, and then you guys just start snorting hummus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Going
good stuff.
That's how
yeah.
every trip to Chick-fil-A ends.
Sauce is like a really big one. I thought of one more, which
Please
I think
do
everyone
tell.
kind of. I mean, you are either the person that does this or you don't. You might linger in between. But my real problem is that I hoard my clothes, and let me just tell you, it's like hoarding clothes from like when I was 13 because I don't grow.
Oh,
I have clothes that I
yeah.
cannot let
You
go.
just get, yep.
But they're just like I can't Marie Kondo that shit. Like
I've
can't.
tried so many
She's
times
tried.
to get
Tatiana
her
has tried me.
to
Like
see if her clothes
this
spark
is how
joy.
bad it is. My closet broke because I didn't get rid of clothes. Like it literally broke off the wall, the little hanger thing, because
Yeah.
I have so many. So like I
Too much
also
pressure on those shoulders.
Too much pressure. So it's like, you know, that's like a thing where like I feel like it's you dance around it sometimes, but really I have clothes from high school that I could get rid of. They do. I wear my jeans from high school still. Some of the colored ones that are really cute. Like I won't find them again.
I don't think that's much of a guilty pleasure. I think that's a condition.
Okay.
I think there's
Are
a
we diagnosing me now?
there's a TV show you can go on. I think.
Back to like all of us having the same thing. So one of my guilty pleasures is, I think we all do it, but I just bath bombs make me feel really guilty.
What? Wait, why do they make you feel guilty?
Like they bring me
Why
joy.
do you think we all do that?
I do.
Well, because Tatiana does. I
I'm
know
everyone.
Anna does it because she doesn't have a
I am
shower.
everyone.
And we all really like Lush, and Lush is like bath bomb
No, I
heaven.
fucking love that.
But because baths are like really, you're not supposed to take baths. 'Cause
I do not
You
take
take so
baths.
much water. You use a lot of water.
Sit in your own
Are
dirt
you
for a little while.
making me feel guilty about
But
this?
the bath bomb helps. Just saying, the bubbles. In the
I
bath.
never felt guilty
Take
until
a
right
shower.
now. Why are we doing this?
It's because you live next to with Sarah, so you don't feel guilty. That's the whole justifiable thing.
But like I also like I make my bath too hot every time, and then I start
Me
to
too.
sweat, and then
Uh-huh.
it like isn't worth it. Like the amount of water that I use isn't worth it for the amount of time that I sit in there, because then I just take a shower.
Yeah, me too. Okay, fine. Now I'm guilty.
No, that wasn't meant to make you feel guilty.
No, I feel guilty now.
All right.
You all should feel guilty. We live in California.
I know that's
This is a drought.
but they sparkle, and some of them have things inside
Wait,
of
do
them.
they leave sparkles
Our whole
on you?
Yes.
Okay.
Our whole animal collection started because of a bath bomb. Because I got a walrus in a bath bomb.
Okay, you guys, wait, hold on. To our listeners, their bathroom is a zoo. I'm not
We
even
have
joking.
tiny-
They have
tiny
so many. It's like in Spy Kids 2 when he made the small, tiny animals. That's what it's like in their
There's
bathroom.
dinosaurs. There's farm animals.
They're endangered, and
There's
here's the thing:
lizards.
those are all endangered
Not all of them.
animals. Okay, not all, but they're like special species
Yes,
that
some
we
of
get.
them. Yeah.
The dinosaurs are endangered animals.
Those
Yeah.
dinosaurs, Cheryl.
I feel
dinosaurs.
this is not a pleasure. It's just guilt when I'm going to wash my hands and I knock off a rhino off the sink or something.
I do that and then my hands are shaking and I like can't put
Oh
them
my God.
back.
And then my
I'm
hands
like,
are wet.
"Ah."
Yeah, too. And I'm like trying to throw him back on, but he won't go. And then I come back to the bathroom and he's knocked down because someone else knocked him
I
down.
kind of
so-
like when they fall into the plants that you guys have in there because then I'm like, your natural habitat.
Those are specially placed.
Whenever we clean the bathroom, we place them.
yeah, did you know that we like rearrange them?
They get new
They
arrangements.
get, and so if you've noticed,
Like,
each
they,
time
they all
Have you
get
seen
turns
the
on the
king?
top.
Yeah, did you notice that each animal has taken a turn on the top of the sink? Like we put, like for example, my favorite was I put the porpoise on the top. That was my favorite, but he just kept, his tail was too big, so like he would fall over all the time.
Yeah.
But I really liked putting the walrus was there for a long time, but
He is the original, the king.
But then I dethroned him and put the porpoise. But that's whatever.
And that big scary dinosaur was up there for a while.
Yeah, the big scary dinosaur was there too. So like, you know, it's a thing. Don't make us feel guilty about that. It brings me pleasure.
straight up guilt for me when I punch one.
All right, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, here's another. Okay, so I have another thing about, and I think this has to do with me and Cheryl do this, and we get pushback from you two. And as soon as we talked about things, because I was like, wow, I don't feel guilty for like Taco Bell, corgis. Like I don't have a problem with any of that. I get accepted, but
Don't both get a mic. We need to defend ourselves.
yeah, but here it is. Cheryl and I really love watching old Olsen twin movies. Me and Cheryl have a DVD.
I've ever made you feel bad for that.
You said that you think we're trying to kill you.
She's like, you're like, why do you guys like this? This is so bad. And
I don't. But the thing is, I don't think I've ever watched one with you. I don't think I was there.
Yes!
I think it was Anna.
no,
We got the 4-pack, and when you guys were at
No,
this
you
apartment
guys,
over there,
You guys always watch it when I'm at work because
we
you
have to do
don't
that
feel
'cause the
guilty
first
about watching
time-
it when I'm not there.
No. We watched it. This is why I remember it. This is why it's so prevalent. Is because we all watch like Netflix movies together, and a lot of them are super cheesy. So when Cheryl brought in the Olsen twin 4-pack, and we're talking about legend titles like the one where they go to Rome, the one they go to New York, Our Lips Are Sealed, like all their weird. And if you, for all of you who don't know, which you probably don't, the Olsen twin movies are these very cheesy. Movies where the two girls, Mary Kate and Ashley, go and become like, it's like Barbie. It's like they become fashion designers, or they're detectives, or they're like like they just really do things that like 12 to 15-year-olds really don't do, and then they have amazing adventures in and they're always in a foreign country usually, or like just a cool place, and so like that's just like the adventure. And so the thing is like, and this is what I was hinting at earlier, of like you want to be like, maybe your guilty pleasure is something you want to do. Like I've always was like, I want to be a 12-year-old fashion designer in Paris. Like, whoa, love it. Like I'm going to watch the shit out of this. And so when Cheryl brought it over, I was like, there's no problem here. We watch the kissing booth sometimes. Like we can handle Mary Kate and Ashley, but we got so much fun because I think we grew up with it and they didn't, or like at
But
least
also, I have still yet to see one of those 4 movies, so I don't know where you're putting me in. No, I
you
haven't.
have. Yeah,
No.
you watched it and you were like,
No,
this is
because-
so cute.
no.
You're all,
No.
why do you guys like this? And Austin, also our other roommate, was like, yeah, these are really bad. And then
No,
Ben
I
was,
remember
"These are
I
really
came in
bad."
at some point and they were like on a boat, and I was like, what the
that
fuck?
was
But
no,
I
because there was
wasn't-
4 of them and
but,
we watched
like,
them all in one day.
I came in and I was like, what are you watching? And then I left. Like, you guys have never made me sit down and watch one.
no, we never made you, but you guys.
I've never.
and we're it was you made a cake. I remember you made a cake for something, and then we only let Ben have a piece of the cake if he would watch a movie with one of the Olsen twin movies. Like that was a thing. It was like a lemon cake or something for some reason.
That was my birthday.
Yeah, so that
No.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was your birthday, but like it was.
No, I think it was.
Or it was you when
it
you
was
got your
when-
promotion.
Yeah, when I got my promotion, I got the movies, and we were like, we're gonna watch this, and then we all sat down, and you were like, this is terrible.
And it's not like we made you watch through it. You did leave because you didn't want to be there, and then me and Cheryl were like, oh, we didn't know this was turned into like me and Cheryl just sitting here watching these movies together, and we didn't even finish the fourth one because we felt so bad that we alienated everybody. So I still haven't seen the fourth one on the DVD.
So now we just watch them when we're alone.
Our apartment in Glendale, we watched them together.
I don't.
Oh yeah,
I don't think I.
you weren't with us
yeah.
that day.
Also, I'm gonna just state this right now that if you mention a movie and you said I've seen it, here's another guilty pleasure: is napping.
Yes.
Because I nap.
I was
through
waiting
a lot
for
of
when you were
movies.
going to bring up napping.
Napping is 100% probably up in my top 2 guilty pleasures, and it's because I just don't recall. You could say I watched a movie and I was like, I'm napping. So
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Yeah.
but thank you. I didn't. I'm sorry if I ever offended.
That was my no. It's I know you're fine, but it was just so funny because I didn't think it would happen, and then it did, and then we were like, oh
Talking
my.
about movies is
Yeah,
where-
movies. Well, see, movies is a soft spot. Or like, I mean, you shared Kissing Booth, and I'm glad you take the heat because we're pretty brutal when we laugh at you for Kissing Booth, and you're pretty strong about it. So sorry.
I have to
Cheryl's
be.
never made me watch it.
But you know, it's actually really funny. Yeah, because Anna was in New York. It's actually really funny that we talked about like families, and I was like, I don't do anything, but like my family's is definitely movies is like their guilty pleasures. And actually, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen, the reason I grew up with them is because they were my brothers.
No.
Guilty pleasure.
I didn't see that coming.
Yes. So in the mornings, I mean, I obviously really liked them.
Can we talk about how old your brother is? Or like how much older?
My brother is 7 years older than I am.
So how old?
So he was like 14-ish,
Okay.
probably when this was happening, because I was like 7. Yeah, so obviously I really liked them, and I would like, you know, kids wake up really early, and then I'd go into my parents' house or room, and I'd be like, hey, I want to watch a Mary Kate and Ashley movie, and my mom was like, Mitchell knows how to use the VCR. Make him put it in for you. And I was like, I don't think he's going to want to watch it. And my mom was like, no, he has a crush on those girls. He'll watch it with you. And he did for several weekends in a row. He would just turn it on because he knew how to work the VCR, and I didn't. And we would watch Ashley Olsen twin movies in the morning. So yeah, Olsen movies are definitely.
That's cute. Yeah. Oh my god.
I think they're full-time fashion designers now. Would you guys be down to get some? Yeah, they are. I think they quit acting to be to do fashion. Fashion, yeah. You guys should look into her shit or their shit. There's 2 of them.
Well, isn't there stuff that like? Did you? Well, no, it was before when Kohl's was still a thing. But like, did you notice how like they were getting like they kind of disappeared, stopped doing acting, started doing fashion quotation marks Kohl's, and then they know they were like not relevant anymore. So then they popped out a third one. The other Olsen showed up, and you're like, that girl had never been a thing. Like they literally cloned. She's the third Olsen twin is my theory. Yeah, my theory she's the third one. They cloned her. No, she's great. But like,
But I also like how like when the Full House like reboot came back, they're like, no, we're not coming back because we're not actors. And
yeah,
I'm like,
I respected the hell out of it because they were like, we can't do it. We probably would be sucky is basically what they were saying. They were like, we probably will be shit. And then I was like, yeah, you probably will be.
one of my things. Okay, this is my family thing. That is my thing. But like that none of you guys share, and I don't, because like Anna and I really like French fries. That's kind of we eat a lot of French fries. We all have their thing, but none of you guys are into good bread. And my family gets like French bread and rolls, like that rye at those Russian dumplings. None of you guys liked that bread. It was so good, and I could like eat an entire loaf of good bread like within a day.
Whoa.
Oh no, here comes Cheryl.
You think I don't like bread?
Okay, Tatiana and Anna make me feel bad for how much I like bread.
No.
bread. That squaw bread was weird. Rye, squaw rye, whatever it was.
Good.
You guys are weird.
I just don't.
I like bread. I'm a big bread fan.
No,
you eat,
bread
like-
connoisseur.
like-
I get.
But
I know
you
it's.
guys. You eat.
You are a
You eat like sandwich, like the
Sarah.
tiny little sandwiches breads.
So okay.
I'm a bread fan, but
Okay, if we're talking about guilty pleasures, hold on really quick. I love bread so much. We all love really good bread. That rye bread was so freaking good. I don't
know how we haven't bonded over this because
all
all of my family functions have
reason.
like a good thing of bread.
There's a reason. Out of all my guilty pleasures, bread is the guiltiest thing that I feel because Colin's family is all gluten-free.
Oh.
And they told me the horrors of gluten and wheat and stuff
yeah,
like that.
you used to be gluten-free.
So I had
gluten-free at the same time,
because I
disclaimer.
realized I had a problem with bread and it stuck with me.
Oh no.
I'm connecting the dots.
You want to...
So it's because you've been shamed is why I haven't shared this with you.
so shamed.
Oh yeah, you guys were both shamed at different times. You couldn't.
Yes, so I was shamed before I met you, and then I had to tone
Cheryl
it down.
had me to be gluten-free with.
That was
We were
actually really
gluten-free
nice because I
friends.
was trying to cut it down, and then I made friends with Anna, and I was like, oh, thank God I don't. Because what if I had made friends with Sarah? And she was like, I really like bread, and I'm like, we can't be friends.
But there was
We
no
can't do this.
toasters in the dorm, so I
that's
just
true.
indulged when I went home.
That's where I used my
Nice.
George Foreman grill to make
See, so it worked
gluten-free
out, but, like,
waffles every morning.
also, yeah, I don't let myself have fun with it. And Colin, still to this
I
day,
was on like a really
love-
good.
No, sorry.
I was on a really good kick, but I went to like Whole Foods and I bought this like rye sourdough loaf and I ate it all.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Well, still, okay, you guys, still to this day, Colin works at a restaurant that has bread, and it's actually really good bread, and they give you, like, oil with it and stuff, and I love it, especially when it's, like, the fresh bread.
Free bread.
It's so good, and it's good bread, and I want it, and I love it, and every time I go, I'm like, oh, can I get bread? And Colin's like, no, you don't need it.
What?
I need to talk
No. See,
Good.
bread is like, well, Sarah has a good way of saying, like, if you don't eat bread and you go on, like, a date or something, do you trust the person? Like, bread is a staple.
That was the thing, because that was really okay. Sorry. You brought up a good point because it was one of those things I never thought of. Sarah will tell you the story, but like, it's just one of those things where do you trust somebody? Like, what level?
I went on like a second date, and like the first date was like a coffee shop, so the second one was like the first like dinner date, and he did not touch the free bread, and it was like homemade focaccia with like olive oil dipping,
Right?
and I only had one piece because I was like, I can't dive in for seconds when he hasn't even touched this.
Focaccia, Daniel.
But
Focaccia.
like this homemade, and I was there.
So
no.
that's, and then she was, and then she brought that up when she came home to like rehash it with all of us because we were all just sitting there probably watching the kissing booth with Cheryl, and so we were like, wow, I think that's also a red flag for me. I don't trust that person.
I think you're just in a world of filthy bread casuals. And
Well, it's not even like he was like gluten-free or anything because you guys went to Italian food. So, like, he was eating good pasta, right? Like,
What if he was like, she probably really likes bread, so I'm just gonna let her eat all of it.
But then like there was so much leftover bread, and I just
that's so sad.
no.
That's so sad. I remember one time, right when I first became gluten-free, I went to a restaurant, and I went with just like my best girlfriends and like their aunt or something, and the waiter came, and I was like, okay, like I'm just now gluten-free, I don't know what to get, and he's like, oh, I'm gluten-free, let me help you, and he like did the menu with me, and he was really nice. I think he was flirting with me, but it's fine. And and this is how I know he was flirting with me, because he brought the bread, and then like Kira and Brittany and their aunt like ate the bread, obviously, and I wasn't because I'm gluten-free, and I was like, okay, this is hard, but like eat it. And then he came with another bread basket, and he's like, I noticed they didn't give you any bread, so here is your own bowl of bread. And I was like, thanks, but I'm gluten-free, we talked about this. And he's like, oh my god, I totally forgot. But I was like, that's the nicest like, service
Really nice.
I've ever gotten. He like came out, he was like, I noticed they were eating all the bread and didn't give you any. And I was like, yes.
I have never felt that taken care of by anyone. I mean, my mom. But, like, other than that, that is, oh, my God.
But then,
Really
like,
nice.
coupled with my bread love is,
Yeah.
like, I don't really eat dairy, but I can't give up butter on bread because nothing really compares. Yeah. And it's got to be either Italian or Irish butter. Lando Lake's
so
is
much.
shit.
Wait, do you want some Irish butter? My mom just gave me a ton.
Yeah.
I'll bring it to you.
No, it'll melt.
It'll melt.
what's your opinion on margarine?
Okay, honestly, okay, so baking with it, you cannot bake with margarine. It's like I do have a soft spot for like sprayable. I can't believe it's not butter.
Wait a minute. Oh my god. Wait a minute.
Oh my god. Wait a minute. I used to squirt that in my mouth. I love that.
That's a guilty pleasure, you guys.
It's so good.
This is perfect because that was my grandma. That was one of my grandma's guilty pleasures, and I wanted to.
Your grandma and I would be great friends.
I want to talk about my grandma's guilty
I
pleasures,
used to
and that's
steal
one
our
of
old
them.
roommate's sprayable butter, Eli's.
I could just imagine Anna and your grandma just huffing. I can't believe it's not by. Oh.
Oh my god, I can't believe.
You can't believe it's not butter.
No! It gets you every time. You think, I don't like this, but then you do.
No, it's really nice. Wait, okay, so I did want to really quickly talk about, like, because my grandma had the craziest. So I can't believe it's not butter was on my list because that was one of her things. She also, it was so weird with some food. She really likes, Mountain Dew. Was like, she always had it. And that's when we. Is it Code Red? No, it was the original. And then she also really liked SpongeBob, which was really weird. Like age, right? That's a guilty pleasure. Yes, for her age, it was definitely because my parents shamed SpongeBob. Both my parents. We didn't watch it in our house at all. The only time I ever saw SpongeBob, so the only reason I know any SpongeBob references is because of my grandma. So she would let us watch it there. And then. She also really liked Sunny D for some reason. She was like, "This is really good orange juice."
Sunny D's a good guilty pleasure.
So that was really weird. Okay, but her weird one. I'm gonna say just like the title of it. Oh no. Her guiltiest pleasure was her favorite color.
Wait. What? Wait. Is it? Okay. Wait. Do you want me to? I want to try and guess this color. Is it like in the rainbow? Yeah. Well, then, is it like orange?
Is it purple?
White?
Is it black?
Is it black?
Is it brown?
Is it brown?
Is it red?
How big is this rainbow?
Okay, her favorite color was green.
Oh. Okay.
But that's not why it's a guilty pleasure. The reason it's a guilty pleasure is the reason that you know how like you always have a reason for why your favorite color is a certain color?
Yeah. It's money.
She would tell people that her favorite color was green because of the trees. The trees are so beautiful. They're all green. But in her secret, deepest, darkest, like in those moments where it was just her and me and Katie, she'd be like, nah, fuck that. Green's my favorite color because of money. Fucking money. She's like, my wallet is green because it's supposed to add like more money into it.
Your
like,
grandma's a baller.
She like legit.
She's taking some shade underneath that money tree.
I'm not even joking. Like, it was just like she treated it like a guilty pleasure. Like, she literally she told my mom that it was trees. Like, she wouldn't even tell my mom the real reason why she liked green as her favorite color. So, yeah.
I picture her like turning to you and your sister Katie, like with like a mug of Sunny D in her hand, and she's like, and maybe a Cuban cigar hanging out of her mouth. This is what I'm picturing.
Because she's just like the grandma from that one show that we really like. What with the Cubans?
Oh yeah, the One Day at a Time. Yes.
Yeah, she was just like her, just like that grandma.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Glorious.
And just turning to you guys and being like, nah, fuck that shit.
It was money.
Listen, grandchildren.
Listen
I
up.
fucking love money.
And you two are like staring at her, like holding your dolls, like, ah.
I thought you loved nature, Grandma. She's like, no. The real thing is money.
I picture her like needle pointing, and then she spins it around, and it's $100 bill with Benjamin Franklin on it, and you're like, ah. Like you thought she was doing like
I imagine
flowers.
I imagine your grandma telling you this, and then she has like the big old Flavor Flav clock on her. She's like, "Yeah, boy, it's all about that care."
For some reason, I'm like imagining it as a bed. Like her comforter is full of like trees and nature, and then her sheets are just $100 bills.
Yeah. How did you guys meet her? How do you?
I feel like I know her personally.
And she did wear like big gold jewelry.
Oh my god.
How'd you know? She was just sassy like that Cuban lady, and she. I love it. So funny, yeah. So, oh wait, I have one more story that I really want to tell, because This is like my favorite story about like guilty pleasures because I never really think about it. And then like whenever you guys brought up guilty pleasures one time for like music, and I was like, what the fuck? Like I don't think about that. I don't know. Like I don't feel guilty about any of my music. What? Like I don't listen to Carly Rae Jepsen. I'm just like I don't.
Against Carly.
Do you? Yeah. Okay. So I worked at like a movie magazine. Or like interned there for like a second, and one of the topics that we talked about was like favorite guilty pleasure movies was like a thing, and which is why most of my guilty pleasures are movies.
I remember this story.
Yes, and so, but it's so funny because the story actually ties back to another guilty pleasure that I have, and that I share with Sarah, because anyways, so we were talking about it, and I was like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know. I don't feel guilty about my movies. Like, all my friends usually like my movies. The kissing booth wasn't really a thing at this point. And one of the guys there, he's not one of the movie guys. He loves movies, but he doesn't write about movies. He doesn't do, like, he's kind of the marketing person. So he's not really, not even marketing. Like, he's the distribution guy. Yeah. And he's not older, but he, he's up. Not up there. I don't know. I don't want him to listen to this and feel offended. He, to be fair, after this story, he became my favorite person in the office. He was like, what's my guiltiest pleasure movie? He was like, Into the Blue. And I was like, that is the greatest guilty pleasure movie ever. And it's so funny because that summer was the first time I ever watched that movie. And this is one of my favorite guiltiest pleasures is Sarah and I get left alone a lot. Cause Tatiana and Anna go away for things and Sarah and I have to work and like stay and be adults. So then her and I, so one of my favorite things is when Sarah and I get together, we end up just like watching a ton of movies, and because like we don't really talk that much, so then we're just like, we're gonna watch movies. Like that's great. And like one day we realized that we both really liked Fool's Gold, and so then we sat and we watched Fool's Gold, and then Sarah was like, what else is a really good movie? Whispers. And she's like, Into the Blue, and I was like, I've never seen this.
I have a question. Is that the one with Jessica Alba?
Into the Blue, yes.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But so I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, it's just like Fool's Gold. It's like this rom-com, and it's just like Fool's Gold. But there's a lot of violence in it.
They're like fighting sharks in it. There's no sharks in Fool's Gold.
They like cut someone's hand off.
So we spent like a whole day just watching these like treasure hunting movies, and then like the next day or something, we were like at Huntington Beach, and we were just standing there like looking out at the horizon, and we were like,
one day
we're gonna be treasure hunters.
And then, in the last part,
yeah.
And that was the prelogue to the story of you two dream
Vomit
job.
rocks happen.
Yeah, this is how the vomit rock.
I get it.
Wow, this is full circle
circle.
right now. Man, that just wore me out. Wow, I'm so tired right now.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite guilty pleasures though, is like the movies that I end up watching with Sarah
And
are
then
like
I think
the
we watched
guiltiest
like
pleasures.
Blue Crush.
Yes, we
Because
did.
you weren't allowed
we
to
did.
watch it.
And it was Austin's favorite movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and my mom didn't. My mom wouldn't let me watch it. Yeah. So that's another guilty pleasure. A lot of movies that I really like are also guilty pleasures because my mom wouldn't let me watch them. Because like they were just like, I like the Rockies are a guilty pleasure because my mom was like, you can't watch those. They're like violent. Or like Jurassic Park. Like those are all guilty pleasures for me just because of the ingrained thing that my mom like gave me. She was like, you don't like those movies. And like scary movies too. Like even now, like when I tell her, I'm like, I'm going to go see Us. And she's like, okay.
Are you sure? I don't have a desire to see that. I was like, we're not the same.
I know. I'm not the same child you raised, mother.
See, like all those things that my mom would have guilted me when I was younger, like if I was to watch it, like now I turn around and I kind of like make her like get in on it, so then like I don't have to be guilty. Like RuPaul's Drag Race, like before, I don't think it's not that my mom wouldn't let me watch it. She probably just wouldn't like put it on the TV purely because it was reality TV.
Yeah, my mom.
All mothers, if there's one thing I've learned, is all mothers hate reality TV and Ryan Seacrest. Those are two things mothers do not take to, and I don't know why.
My mom has no idea why we watch The Bachelor. Like my grandma also watched The Bachelor. My mom's like, what is wrong with you guys?
So I try and include then my mom in on it. So I'd be like, Mom, and I tell her things. She's like, I don't want to know this. And I'd be like, but Mom, Becca just chose her future husband and they're going to be together forever. And she's just like, I don't know them.
I think that's like my last one because we share The Bachelor and
Yeah,
I
we
have
do.
that. but I love Vanderpump Rules, and I cannot share it with
That's the
anybody but Claire, and I don't really get to share it with her.
That's
But
the
it's-
funny part.
It's so
I
so
love
good.
that you love Vanderpump Rules, because when I talk to people about like your interests and stuff like that, everyone has a friend who watches Vanderpump Rules, but like I've never met the person who
It's
actually
like-
watches it.
It's like
So Sarah's
the
my friend.
reality TV. Like, I think it's the pinnacle. Like, they're so
And there's been praises.
they're
Like
so
people
insane, but like they're relatable. And it's like, since moving here, I'm like, now I see why they're like this.
Yeah, and there's like an undercover like tribe of people who like the Vanderpump
Yeah.
Rules, and it's
It's-
not just Sarah, but
no,
like
I
it's
used
an
to-
anomaly to find people who watch it though.
I liked it in the beginning a lot. I think when I had to study one night for a test and I missed an episode, it like fucked up everything, and I missed it, and I that's a good guilty. It's a good guilty pleasure.
I used to be a PA on Real Housewives of Orange County, and the company that makes Real Housewives, it's called Evolution, and they also make Vanderpump Rules, and that's their biggest show right now.
Yeah,
And
it's huge.
everything takes priority.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to Vanderpump, oh, we gotta do that for Vanderpump. We gotta do that. But that's what they look forward to. That and Beverly Hills, Real Housewives. Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like reality TV shows, like when we were looking up guilty pleasures, those are like at the top of the list. And since you worked in it and you're like a producer and stuff, what makes those work so much? Like, what is it? I don't
also,
know.
Wait, there's also one thing, because you're the only guy, but I hear that it's a big turnoff to guys when girls really like reality TV.
I do hear
Like
that.
Austin hates reality TV.
Watches The Bachelor. But that doesn't really count anymore. It's mainstream.
It's not a turn off for me
Okay.
because I guess I'm in WrestleMania. Yeah, it's like that's like the ultimate like reality. It's like you watch The Bachelor and I'm all like, oh, that's silly. But then you watch Monday Night Raw and you're like, what the fuck is your problem? Are you on mushrooms? What's going on here? Why are you watching this? But yeah, like I can't like I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. If anybody thinks it's a turn off, fuck them. They're not worth your time.
That's actually a really interesting point that you bring up, like WrestleMania and stuff. Like, guys definitely have their like reality
I feel
TV
like
show,
it's
and there's like a disconnect.
Guys think that girls who like reality TV are like crazy and into drama, but it's actually because there's no drama in my life, and I think it's insane.
What are
This
sports?
is the
Isn't that
thing.
reality TV?
Have you ever seen the Super Bowl? That is the most dramatic shit I've ever seen in my life. They will stop for 15 minutes going over 5 seconds of play, and they're like, I don't know. What do you think the call is going to be? They're not
Oh my
even
gosh.
making the call.
I
They're
was,
just like, what do you think this
walking
call is
down
going to be?
2nd Street the other day with a guy, and he's like, can we stop and watch the end of this basketball game? And I was like, here this goes. And it was like 10 minutes, and it was like 15 seconds, and I was like, I just want to go home.
What's
Or my favorite was we had a friend who dated a guy who was like in the restaurant. He was like, switch seats with me. I need to be able to watch the game. Or like he would, and she would say he would shove her out of the way to view like sporting events. Like no, they're not together anymore.
and when say like a team wins a Super Bowl, they win like the NBA championships or whatever, and they cut to people in the audience, and you always see these guys, these bald guys, just some of them sobbing. It's like, bruh, you didn't win. Calm the fuck down.
playing.
You have kids.
I know, and the kids are wearing like they have the face paint with the floppy hats or whattever, and they're just sitting there like, oh, what's happening? Why is Daddy why is
I
water
really
falling from
can't.
Dad's face? And then meanwhile, it's like the same exact thing where on Vanderpump Rules, like one of the girls gets dumped or something. Like it's
We're
the
not
whole thing.
crying watching The Bachelor. You guys are crying
Oh,
watching the Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
So you want to tell me who's the most dramatic?
Yeah.
Well, I cried when Kofi Kingston won the WWE Championship
Yeah,
last
see
week.
there, that's fine. You know,
I didn't
that's
cry,
good.
but a lot of people did.
It's fine. It's fine. Well, no, if we normalize it, then we can cry at if we can cry at anything like people think we do, they can too.
We can.
I don't
We
need
have
to cry.
emotions too.
At reality TV.
Yeah.
You guys have a
Believe it or not.
No way.
Yeah.
And they're only activated at sporting events.
Exactly. Only when the testosterone is pumping.
Yeah, exactly. That is so
So
funny.
my biggest takeaway from this
Pleasure
table
party.
talk
Pleasure party.
pleasure party is that the greatest guilty pleasure is sporting events.
Yeah.
That's what I've decided.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And bread.
And bread. Well, at least you need bread.
Sourdough.
You don't need football or soccer. And you don't even need wrestling. I'll just say that right now.
Until today that was the most suppressed thing that I have, right, is bread. It's my most
I
suppressed
think we're
guilty
going
pleasure.
to take some bread, dip it in some rad sauces, and turn on our favorite reality TV shows simultaneously. Vanderpump Rules and WrestleMania.
Guilt.
No guilt.
No, go.
While Flo Rida plays in the background.
I think the moral of the story is there are no such things as guilty pleasures. You should just
Actually-
accept everything you love.
Yeah, you should. Actually, guilty pleasure song is "Low" by Flo Rida. I loved it. I loved it so much I broke my knee to it.
Oh, all right. You broke your knee. Yeah.
Speaking of my house,
Get out of my house.
Please leave. And I can already tell Anna's inching towards the door, and she's reaching for her purse, and I bet I can't believe it's not butter in there.
And she's gonna tell someone we kidnapped her on the way out.
Don't out me.
Right next to your nose spray.
You think this is a podcast? This is actually an intervention. You need to
I have a
stop.
problem with sprayable items.
All right, get out.
No, you get out. You can't tell her to get out. You get out. All right.
Those are my movies.
All right. Y'all get out. This has been great. Thanks for coming to the pleasure party. No.